In today's episode, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to make your mark in the multifamily industry. You want to be a maintenance man? Well, stick around. I'm going to tell you exactly how to succeed. So, you want to be a maintenance man, right? Okay, well, I got a few things I could tell you about that. First thing you want to do, if you want to be in the maintenance trade, well, I think it's going to help that you have some kind of mechanical ability. If you don't know how to turn a screwdriver or know the difference between a straight head and a Phillips, this might not be the trade for you. So I'm just suggesting that get a little bit of knowledge behind you. I think the maintenance industry is it's very rewarding, and by that what I mean is that when you are out there fixing things, you get a sense of accomplishment for it or with it. And I think that's the reward that you get. You've made somebody happy. Remember, when you're in the apartment maintenance industry, you are working on people's homes. This is where they live. Now, granted, a lot of them live like pigs, and there's nothing you can do about that, but it's still their home. So if you can go in there and fix something for them that they want to be able to use, then you fixing it has definitely given you a sense of accomplishment. So you got that reward part of it. Also, if you want to succeed as being a maintenance man, there's certain things you need to do. First of all, you can't be scared to go out there and do things that you're not comfortable doing. You know, if you don't know how to replace a compressor on an air conditioner, first thing you want to do is follow along with somebody who is doing the work and watch and take notes mentally. And if you have to physically take notes, then you can do that too, so that you can reference back to that. But I think it's very important that you take note of what's going on in that process. And then later down the line, you don't have to be afraid to try it yourself. Hey, if you fail on certain things like that, you can start over and do it again. So you need to take risk and do things that you're not comfortable with in order to succeed. Be the guy that's always first in and last out. You know, keep your surroundings clean and clean up the clutter that's around your shop. You know, when you pull a motor out of a box to replace a fan motor on an air conditioner, that box it needs to get discarded. So you definitely want to discard that box and keep your shops clean. People notice things that you do. You know, if you go the extra step in doing your job, people notice that and they take note of it. And, you know, when it comes time to be promoted, you're going to be first in line. So be sure to go the extra mile, take that extra step and do the little things that need to be done in order to show people that you are responsible and that you care about your job. That's the biggest thing, is showing that you care about your job, and that being enthusiastic about doing things is going to go a long way with your supervisors. Next thing I think you need to do is concentrate on getting some good quality tools. You don't have to go out and buy those tools all at once. You know, you can pick up a couple of good screwdrivers. Myself, I'm a Klein man, so I like using Klein tools. So I didn't buy all of my Klein tools all at once. You know, here and there I bought pieces and moved the old stuff out of my tool bag to make room for the new quality, better tools that I have now. It's taken me many years to put together some good quality tools that I feel comfortable using. And I've used them for so long now that, it makes a big difference when you're using a quality tool. You know you got something good, and you can have these tools last you for many, many years. So take some effort in trying to invest in some good quality hand tools. And with that, we're going to expand a little bit more on a few things. So let's take a little break right now, and I'll be right back. I want to start off this segment by letting you know how I got started in this business. It's a pretty funny story, actually. And I can still remember it like it was yesterday, that I was working for a moving company at the time. I think I was probably 17 years old. And the moving company's business was kind of slumping. They were basically just getting started in that business. So there wasn't as much work to keep a full crew busy all the time. So I had gotten laid off. And I had the pleasure of having my own apartment at 17. Had a little, what they called at the time, an efficiency apartment. Now they've given it a better name and calling it a studio. Now that's really fancy, isn't it? But, it was my little apartment. I was proud of it, and I didn't want to lose it, and I definitely didn't want to move back in with mom and dad because I had had a taste of living on my own. And at that time, I was pretty stubborn and pig-headed, so I didn't really want to follow the rules that they had set. So I figured I'd go out on my own and do what I want. And I found out soon enough that you can do what you want, but you got to pay the bills in order to be able to do that. So, well, I found myself without a job and an apartment to pay for. And it turned out that the apartment community that I was living at needed a groundskeeper. Now, like I said, I was 17 years old, so I was a kid. I'm just a kid. So I had gone in and applied for the job. And, they kind of pushed me around a little bit and hem-hawed, you don't really know anything about the apartment industry. You haven't done this before and blah, blah, blah. And so I took the job. I'm getting ahead of myself. I kept going back to the office and basically begging them to put me to work, give me the job, because I needed to work. And I didn't know how I was going to pay the rent. I didn't have any money coming in, didn't know how I was going to eat. So it was getting pretty tough. So, like I said, at least 2-3 times a week, I would go in there and beg them basically to give me that job. And after about a month, they finally relented and gave me the job. So I started out as a groundskeeper in the apartment industry at the age of 17. And it wasn't very long after I got that job that I was still doing grounds, but I would pick up a work order here and there and go take care of a work order. And this is like I was saying in the first segment. When you do things that are out of your comfort zone, people notice, especially if you're successful at it. And if you're not, you can keep at it until you are. But I would go out and do work orders when I wasn't doing the grounds, and they noticed that. And it wasn't probably 3 to 4 months after I got that job that they had asked if I wanted to be a maintenance tech, just a general maintenance guy. I was doing little small work orders like light bulb replacements, and that's been so long ago now. But the little tedious jobs, the little small jobs that air conditioning heating guys don't really have time to do, but they need somebody to take care of the small stuff. If you can go glue a piece of laminate back on a countertop, or change out a light fixture, or just little things like that. So that's the stuff that I was doing. Also turning apartments. That's really the place where I shined at that time. So as a maintenance tech now, after 4 months of starting into this industry, I started doing apartment turns and got really good at it, to the point where they were like, "This is awesome. We've never had anybody turn an apartment like you do." And it's the attention to detail that I would take. I wouldn't cut corners on, let me get in here, get out, and be done with it and move on to the next project. If it took me an extra 10-15 minutes to caulk a bathtub the proper way, then, I took that time and I did it. And again, like I said, that kind of stuff is noticed, and it's noticed pretty quick, because when the resident moves into that apartment and they see the clean lines of your caulk, all your outlets are straight and clean, even down to the smallest detail of making sure the screws on your outlet plates and switch plates are all in the same direction, where you're not just turning them and you got one cockeyed to 2 o'clock and the next one's were at 10. And I would always make sure that my screws the slots were turned straight up 12 and 6. That was just the mainstay. I got to be pretty anal about that, as a matter of fact. So, like I said, those little attentions to detail got me a lot of recognition, and it really made people's eyes light up and notice that, hey, Dan's doing a really good job for us here. He would probably be the next guy we would promote to, maybe a lead tech, or at that time, they were doing a lot of level 1, level 2, level 3 technicians, and I was a low grade level 1 at that time. I'd probably say that I was in there for maybe 6 more months as level 1 tech, and I'd been punched up to a level 2 tech, which meant that I was going out and doing a little bit more intensive electrical work, maybe a little bit more of the harder plumbing type work. I was no longer turning apartments, except for when they needed a backup. I would go in and fill in for somebody. But it was more going out and doing the work order part of the job, And we've all seen that, where there's certain work orders that certain people can do, and there's certain people that can't do certain work orders. So I was the number 2, almost a lead tech at that point. And it wasn't very long that I got moved up to be a maintenance supervisor. Now, like I said, now I'm probably hitting 18 years old and been asked to be a maintenance supervisor on a property. Granted, it was a small property. It was probably only 150 to 180 units or something like that. And it's been so long ago now, I don't remember I know the name of it, but and I won't go into that. But again, it's the attention to detail. It's the willingness to want to go out there and put yourself out there to do things that you're not comfortable doing. And then once you get that under your belt, where you've done this job that you weren't comfortable with to start with, now you're getting comfortable at it, and you can do it, and you can perfect it. You can get better at it. You can find ways to do it faster and still do a good job at it. That's the thing that gets you noticed. So if you want to be a maintenance technician in the apartment industry and in the multifamily business, you have got to do things right. I always harp on this. I don't like cutting corners on any kind of a job, because it's just going to come back and bite you in the butt later. So that's one of the things that is most important, is to make sure that you're doing a good job, and that you're doing that job to the best, the absolute best of your ability, and to do it right. And if you don't know how to do it right, you can find ways and find out how to do it, and not have to cut the corner just to get in there and get out. I'll be right back. Welcome back. One of the things that I've talked about a couple times is doing things out of your comfort zone. And doing this podcast, and what I'm going to try to do is a weekly broadcast and a weekly show on different subjects and topics that I think I might gear this more towards the maintenance industry. I think that I've got a word that, and some things that I can teach people out there that are in this industry, or maybe just starting out, and they need some help in trying to figure out what they should do and how they should do things. So I may go that route, and hopefully I can help somebody. I have really harped on the fact that doing the job and doing it right is the only way to succeed. And it's amazing how much that is so true. Doing your job right and not taking shortcuts and cutting corners on projects that are going to come back at you, that you're going to have to go back into and redo. That's just not the way to succeed. If you want to succeed as a maintenance technician, and if you want to succeed in maintenance in this industry, you have got to do the job right. It's amazing how many people will notice that. And it may take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's a career choice. And if this is what you have chosen to do for the rest of your life, then why not do it to the best of your ability? If you want to succeed and maybe move up the chain and climb that ladder of success and be the supervisor of a property. Listen, this is what my motto was for a long time. Like I said way back in the beginning, I was a very stubborn person. I was pig-headed. I was headstrong. And my dad and I did not get along because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. He wanted me to do what he wanted me to do. And I was still going to do what I wanted to do. So with that mindset, from early on, I did not want to be told what to do. In this industry, you're always going to be told what to do. And I've come to learn that. But what I had figured out early was that, in order for me not to be told what to do, I really honestly want to be the guy telling other people what to do. And what I started doing was going out there and beating people to the punch. And that's just when I was a technician. I would go do things before I was told to do them because I didn't want to be told what to do. But I saw things that needed to be done, so I just went ahead and went and did them so that nobody could tell me what to do. And then eventually it turned into where, I want to be a supervisor because I don't want a supervisor telling me what to do. And I thought that was going to work. And, I butted heads with a few managers here and there because, even as a supervisor at a young age, I still had that mentality that I don't want to be told what to do. And that's another thing that you need to remember. You're always going to have a boss. You're always going to have somebody telling you what to do. And in order to reduce the amount of stuff that people are telling you what to do on, if you see something, just do it. And that way, if they're not telling you what to do, you've already done it. So they don't need to tell you what to do. That's a little bit of a ramble on and on about not telling me what to do, I know. But honestly, that's the biggest success story that I can tell you on how to succeed as being a maintenance technician or a maintenance engineer or a service manager of an apartment community or in the multifamily business, is to make sure that you're going the extra mile. Beat the people to the punch. If you don't want to be told what to do, beat them to the punch. Go ahead and if you see something, do it. Fix it. Make it right, And then after you do it, you can say, hey, I took care of such and such. I knew it. Or you can just leave it quiet and let them discover that, oh, I saw that yesterday, and now I went back to look at it, and it's fixed. Oh, I wonder who did that. And they'll ask, who took care of such and such? Oh, I did. Oh, hey, great job. I appreciate that. That stuff goes a long way. You'll get noticed really fast. So that's how you're going to succeed. You got to go the extra mile. You got to do things right. You have to take the initiative to do things on your own so that people aren't having to come to you and tell you, well, why don't you pick up that bottle out there in the yard? That's something that you should be just doing. And after a while, it becomes automatic and you just do it. And again, people notice that kind of stuff. You're going to be noticed really fast. So that is my little quick story on how to succeed in the maintenance industry. If you want to be in the multifamily business, it's a fun job to be in. There's a multitude of personalities that you're going to have to deal with. And that can be interesting at times. It can be a little frustrating at times. And it can be rewarding at times. You'll get to know some really interesting people. And it's just all part of life. Whatever you do in life, you're going to have situations that you're not happy with. So make it yours. Own the job. That's another key. Own your job. If you are the maintenance technician and it's your responsibility to complete work orders, then own that. Be the guy who owns his job. People are going to see you and they're going to recognize that, and you're going to succeed in this industry. I promise you. It may not happen overnight, but it's going to happen. This is Dan Giles. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.